Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Shanalee Sharbenau. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Shanalee Sharbenau. I am your host today for the Indie Beacon Radio Show, and we are speaking to a very interesting lady by the name of Barb Geiger. Barb, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, the interesting thing about Barb, and we spoke today, is that a lot of people want to take 6 months off. They want to travel the world. They'd like to meet new people. They'd like to help people. And you, Barb, did all of it.
We did. I did it with my husband in 2013.
Wow, but it's a really interesting story. Can you talk a little bit about how it started with I think your dad was involved in this. This was not just a quick 6-week adventure. This was something that was really set in motion by your life. So how did it start?
It was. Thank you. My dad has always been an adventurer, and he was a sailor and taught me how to sail and how to boat. And his dream was to build a boat. After he retired, he had a stroke and was bemoaning the fact that he wouldn't ever build his boat. And at the time, I was a single divorced mother with a young son, and it broke my heart to hear him talking like that. So I suggested for us to build a boat together. And we started that as a 3-generation project. And it took many, many years because he lived out of town, and so we had to travel to his home in order to build it. I finished building the boat with my second husband after I remarried, and he's an adventurer as well. And as soon as we finished building it and took it out for the first day, maybe a mile or two on a really secluded, private, quiet lake, he got the idea that we should paddle the Mississippi River. And I thought that was a little optimistic.
Right. And is this when you say boat, are we talking about a yacht, a craft, or a canoe? What are we talking about?
The boat is a 20-foot kayak, and it has 2 seats. We learned later, about halfway through the trip, that it's known as a divorce boat.
Why a divorce boat? Because you either argue all the time, or your mother-in-law plan, or why?
I think so. It wasn't a divorce boat for us. We got along really well together, but we set some ground rules before we left.
Maybe the boat's good luck. So I'm starting to understand you have authored this book, Paddle with a Purpose, and this must be the boat that you were paddling, correct?
It is.
Awesome. Okay, so how do you go from, all right, you've built the boat with your father, right? Correct?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of daughters out there that just get the chills on the thought of doing something with their dad. And I think that's very special. So now you're preparing to paddle it, and you're talking 6 days, 6 months. How do you get from 6 days to 6 months? How did that even happen?
Well, we decided that most people paddle the river in about 3 months, and after we were at a church service where we both got a call for us to put service to others with the trip, we ended up making it 6 months. Our plan was to make it 6 months and to stop in small towns along the way and do service, and then blog about what we do there and what the charities do and why, and introduce our readers to people who help others.
So, I think a lot of us want to help people, but you have a very powerful story about making that decision. And how did that come about?
Well, I was searching for a reason to want to go. I thought I was finished with camping. I was 56 years old, retired, wasn't really interested in bugs and alligators and bears and tent camping and cooking on a fire. And I hadn't done it for a long time. And I thought this would probably be an unbearable 3 months if we just raced down the river, which it wasn't at all. I had all these visions of all the things that could go wrong and was afraid. But when we were given the idea to put service with the trip, my heart was changed and I wanted to go. I was all in. I could see some possibilities of us stopping to help other people and really helping them by giving them some publicity along the way and meeting people.
Yeah, and that's an important, because even though there's a strong faith component to the book, that's not all this book is about, is it?
No, not at all. It tells a lot of stories about the time between visits in towns when we were by ourselves on the river. It shows the river in its many moods. We had flooding, we had near tornado weather, we had rain, we capsized, we put a hole in the bottom of the boat. We had all kinds of problems that we had to deal with. We lost the cable for our rudder, it broke, and so we didn't have steering with our rudder, which steered our boat. So we had a lot of things to deal with, but we also met people along the way that we call river angels, who wanted to help us, who fed us, who let us stay with them, who wanted to learn about what we were doing, and who shared their lives with us.
So what's the most touching story for you in that moment?
Oh my, that's like asking for a favorite child. I think
they do exist. They exist.
I have many of them. One that springs to mind as far as a service time is when we stopped at the Itawamba Learning Center, which was in Mississippi, in Fulton. And the Learning Center was started by two women who noticed that there were a lot of people that didn't graduate from high school in their city, and they really felt obligated and a call to help with that situation. So they started tutoring school, and they didn't take any money. It was all gratis tutoring for anybody who needed it, whether it was to get a GED or to better themselves to get a new job or to increase their interview skills. These ladies had a jail ministry as well, so they worked with inmates in the jail to get them their GEDs so that when they got out, they could go to college or they could get a job. And while we were there having lunch with them during the day that we helped them work, one of the men who was released from jail called, and he called his tutor and told her that he was on his way to register for college classes.
Wow.
And her eyes filled, and I was just privileged to see that moment and to see what a difference they make. They were getting no funding. They didn't have a website. They only had a telephone that was printed on their glass window of the shop that they were leased for free by the person who owned the building. And so all of their own money went into this idea. So when we asked them what they'd like us to do to help, they said, we'd like you to make us a website. We love yours, and we'd love you to build us one so that people could find us more easily. And so that's what we did.
You know, it's just amazing how people, what they ask so little, you know, and for somebody like you who knew how to do the website, that changed them. But for you, it was just a moment in time. But for them, it was a total change in direction. Yes, but I didn't know how to do the website before this trip came up. We had to learn so many things before we went on this trip that we didn't know at all. And I had the idea that we should make a website so that we could blog about these organizations and help them with more publicity. And my husband said, well, do you know how to do that? And I looked at him and said, not yet, but I will. So we learned how to dehydrate food. We learned how to vacuum seal meals. We learned how to send meals to different cities where we could pick them up. All of that was information that we gained along the way. So I'm going to ask you a question, and then I want to take a break because I want to hear all of it. But the Barb that got on that canoe in the beginning and the Barb that got off that canoe at the end, was she different? Absolutely. Wonderful. We're going to come back. I want to hear, you know, so many things change us. I know what's going on today. We're in a state of change, some fearful. And I think you conquered fear. And what a powerful time to read your book, to realize how you can overcome that and how you made that change positive. So we're going to be right back. We are talking to Barb Geiger, the author of Paddle for a Purpose.
I'm Rox Berkey.
And I'm Charles Brakefield. We're award-winning co-authors, Brakefield and Berkey, of the Enigma book series. There are 10 books in the series, with book number 11 planned for release in January 2020.
Each story has a central technology focus ranging from identity theft to cryptocurrency and now AI wars. These adult techno thrillers pit cyber good guys against cyber thugs across the darknet.
In our world, technology is today's weapon of choice. You can enjoy ebook format, paper, or Audible. We want your feedback.
Until the next story, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942.
Welcome to IndieLector.store, an online bookstore where the discriminating reader can find award-winning books. IndieLector.store is not a big corporation, so we can give up to 80% of the sales directly to the author. Help us support them by buying a great book at IndieLector.store.
Hello, I am the author and poet Denise Bryson. I am the author of The Things That Cross My Mind, Love's Reality, both in book and audio form. I am also noted as one of the best poets of 2011. I have two new projects coming up. One is the Blinky series, where Blinky tells us all about our coins and our bills for our children. I also have a book coming out called Say Ye. It's quotes from Denise Bryson, just inspirational and that will help you along the way.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Well, welcome back. We are speaking to Barb Geiger, the author of Paddle with a Purpose. My name's Shanalee Sharbenau, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is this woman took a 6-month trip to not only find people, help people, but what ended up happening is she found herself. And where we left off, Barb, is you were going to talk about how the Barb changed from in the canoe to out of the canoe. How did she change?
Well, the Barb that got into the canoe was self-conscious about being with other people and meeting other people. I was friendly, and I taught kindergarten and first grade and second grade. You have to be friendly to do that, and you have to be comfortable in front of people. But I wasn't really comfortable sharing my faith. I wasn't really comfortable being in new situations constantly. And I learned how to do that. I learned how to trust more. I learned how to be more faithful. I learned how to listen to other people better. And I learned how to look for the good in people, because what our purpose was to look for the good in everybody, and to find out what they were doing to help others, to show that in a positive light so that other people could learn about loving one another and helping one another, and opportunities to donate and opportunities to volunteer that are all around us. But sometimes, and I was doing this too, I had my list of things I had to do, and I would donate to charities, and I was aware, and I would help out at church when I was needed, when people asked for help. But I learned to view the world with more grace.
Wow. I couldn't imagine that feeling. I mean, the little that I've done, which is not much, not even comparable to what you've done, the feeling that you must have had coming out of that. And you took that feeling and you took that story and you put it into Paddle with a Purpose. Is that correct?
I did. We didn't really do anything special, though. My husband liked to say it's about the people, not the paddle, and it's not about us. So when we had interviews with people, we really wanted them to highlight the organization because that was our purpose. We just paddled in and we spent a day doing whatever they needed us to do, and then we left. The people who are doing that charity are doing it all the time, and they're committed to it and they're passionate about it. And that's what I wanted to show with my writing. How many different ways we can offer ourselves and our talents to other people. No matter what talents we have, there's a need for them somewhere. And if you can match that passion with the need of the world, then you're in the right place.
You know, that's amazing. I mean, you hear stories, not only, I mean, from groups that are Native American and biblical groups. And I mean, I've got great stories I've heard that are super powerful of somebody walking in and helping and then leaving. And those people are considered the angels that came and then disappeared. And how powerful, though they are committed, how powerful that was for you to do something like that with them. And change. And you know, that story is going to be handed down in 100, 150. I call it tickets to heaven. Every time I do something positive, I tell somebody, make sure you got my ticket to heaven. So if I gather enough tickets, I'm in. And I think, Barb, you have gained so many tickets of people that will line up there just by taking the nerve and putting fear aside. And how did you do that? Because I know when I go on, 2-week vacation, I'm like, take this medicine, this is going to go out. I'm sure we need to make sure where a chiropractor is. And how did you overcome that? Because when you hit 40, all of a sudden you've got a medication list, or herbs or aspirin or gummies or something. So how did you do that? Because how old were you when you did this?
I was 56.
Yeah,
that
that's
was a year
enough.
older.
Yeah. So,
I had a few aches and pains, but I wasn't on a lot of medication. We took medications with us. We also, when we needed a prescription, we were able to have that sent to a drugstore because some drugstores have stores in other states as well, and a network of people that can fill prescriptions. We did have to stop once for poison ivy. Jean got poison ivy. And I had to stop once and find a dentist because I had a toothache. So I had an infection in my gums underneath one of my teeth. But we were able to ask people for help and find the right places to go.
So everybody, I'm sure everybody's, and I apologize for interrupting, but everybody's thinking the same thing. How did you overcome that? That was a big challenge. And I know you stayed in the States, so there's a little comfort there maybe, but a lot of people, while you're talking, I can just hear their voices by saying, I could care less if they were in network or not. I am not getting on a canoe and pulling up to some town. I have no clue if Walgreens is there or 20 or 50 miles down the way. So how did you do that? How did you overcome that fear?
I don't think it was that much of a fear. Like I said, I was all in. It was an adventure. We knew that we were capable, and we worked together as a team. We knew that we were capable of finding things if they were around. We had cell phones, which, when people did the Mississippi 50 years ago, they didn't have that navigation aid at all. But the cell phones helped us to find places that we needed. They helped us find campgrounds when we didn't have maps. We made a change of route during the trip. And so we turned on to a route that we didn't have any maps for at all. But by then we were confident with our ability to navigate and our ability to paddle pretty much any circumstances. And the government shut down while we were on the trip, which was a surprise because they shut down from mostly October of the year that we were there. So we were dependent upon federal campgrounds, but they weren't available. So that was one of the things that we just had to roll with.
So did it strengthen your marriage?
Absolutely it did. Absolutely, because we depended upon each other and we both believed that God was putting us in places where we would meet people that we were meant to meet. And so we were open to that. No matter who we met, we believed that that was supposed to be. And we saw in hindsight sometimes, and sometimes in real time, that it was an amazing way to live.
And I'm sure this moment with your husband in this canoe, it was pleasant weather, nothing went wrong. So what did happen?
We capsized on the first day. We went under, the water was rather high, and the ranger had told us everything would be fine. So we believed him, and we went under the pedestrian bridge where my son was standing to take pictures of us, epic pictures of our departure. And I went under the bridge just fine, but I'm 6 inches shorter than my husband. And when he bent back, he couldn't get under the bridge. So without telling me, he leaned to the side, which if you kayak or canoe, is a no-no. And his weight leaning to the side tipped me over as I came out of the other side of the bridge. And my son got a beautiful picture of the boat half tipped over. But we had other problems too. I was prepared for bears. We didn't see any bears. But when we got down south, we heard stories of rattlesnakes and alligators, and we almost pulled over near the side where there was a water moccasin sunning on the rocks that we were going to take a break on. And then I said, "Look at that snake." And my husband said, "Yeah, right." Because he didn't believe me. He thought I was joshing him. And then he looked and he's like, "Oh boy, we're not stopping. I'll hold it."
Wow.
And we paddled away.
So we're going to take a break, but I want to talk more about the book and what it has to offer, because there's a really cool feature that combines your website to the book. So we're going to be right back. We're speaking to Barb Geiger, the author of Paddle with a Purpose.
Hi, I'm Jerry Reedy, author of the book Heat in the Vegas Night. The book is a true inside story of a group of sophisticated blackjack players that take large sums of money from Las Vegas, led by one man, the boss, who trained a group of ex-college athletes from the Pacific Northwest to use a mirror to see the dealer's hole card in blackjack. The true story, stranger than fiction, is about casino espionage, teamwork, guts and determination, and courage. Find the book at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Target.
Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, IndieLector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at IndieLector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at IndieLector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's IndieLector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20.
The 5th Annual Authors Marketing Event. 2 days of live seminars in marketing for authors. The only organization that certifies authors in marketing. Live and free to the first 100 authors registered. Sponsored by Bubblish, empowering entrepreneurs, and Indie Lector Store, paying authors for their fair share. Head to www.2020.authorsmarketingguild.com today.
What started as a love letter to her son has become an international love letter for all parents to their children. Now you can read acclaimed author Shanalee Sharbenau's story to your children. When her son was very sick, she calmed him by singing her own song to him. She turned that song into the book, My Mama Loves Me, I'm Her Little Boy. She wrote 3 more magical books for all parents and kids 6 and under. Available at Indie Lector, Amazon, and all local and national outlets.
Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back. We are talking to author Barb Geiger, the author of Paddle with a Purpose. Paddle for a Purpose? Which one, baby?
Paddle for a Purpose.
Paddle for a Purpose. So you have taken this phenomenal experience and you've placed it in the book and all your experiences. But what I think is one of the best opportunities in this book is you have something really neat on your website. And what is that?
I wanted to put maps in the book, but the map of the Mississippi waterway with the Tennessee and Tombigbee waterways as well is as big as the country. So in a small book that really wouldn't show very much. So I talked to a fellow map maker who has done work like that, and he suggested that rather than put it in the book, I put it on my website. So that got me thinking that this website that we used to communicate during the trip could become a book site. And that way I wouldn't need to put black and white pictures in it for the sake of the cost of the book. I could use full color, full size digital pictures on my website. And so I knew how to create galleries of pictures, which I had done during the trip. And I just redid those galleries so that there are pictures about the rivers, there are pictures of the services, and there are pictures of the friends that we met and the river angels who helped us that people read about in the book. Wow. And then I created a Google map so people can, they can just scan a QR code in the front of the book or go to the website. The URL is in the book as well. And it's the same name as the book. So it's really easy for people to find.
Yeah, so your website is passionforapurpose.com, or .net.
.net.
Right, .net. And people can follow along on this trip with you in a map sense, correct?
They can, yep. They can find the map, and if they click on the icon that is in the city where we stopped and worked with a volunteer service, then a pop-up will show them where we worked and connect them with their website, so that if they want to learn more, they can go directly to their website just through that link, and they can volunteer or they can donate if they live in an area that's near there.
That's such an amazing, it's like a treasure hunt, right? And you know, I'm sure in your book you would fall in love with these people, and the fact that you can see them and that they're real. I mean, you always know some of the characters are real, but to see it and to be moved by it, I think that's extremely ingenious, Barb. So congratulations on that. Where can they buy this book?
They can buy the book at any independent bookstore or online. It is on Amazon. It's also on my publisher's website, which is electiopublishing.com. And if they go to the paddleforapurpose.net website, there is an independent bookstore locator, so they can put in their zip code and then it'll show an independent bookstore near them if they'd rather order it through an independent bookstore and support a business in their own area.
Wow. So what would you say to somebody who has had an idea, whether it's to go to maybe the Terracotta Warriors and travel? There's one in Spain, it's like the life path or something. You know, there's many spiritual walks around the world. What would you say to somebody? Because you're either going to do this out of high school before college or right after college, or you're going to do this older. So do you have any advice on what you would tell people to do other than obviously buy your book and walk this journey with you?
Absolutely. I think that if you have a dream, I think you should try for that. I know that there's a reason that you're intrigued by an idea, and if you try it, you might just find out that you have more strength than you ever had before, or you might need to depend on somebody that you didn't think that you might need to depend on, but you'll learn about yourself. And I know you said your comment about tickets to heaven, but I believe that God accepts us into heaven based on the grace of God and based on the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. I don't believe that we need to earn our way to heaven. I think that the benefit, though, is to get closer to a relationship with the God who made it all. You know, we got to live in God's creation. We got to camp with God's creation and depend upon it and make relationships with other children of God all around the country and learn what's important to them and learn what they're passionate about. and respect that and value that and help them to communicate that. So as I told you earlier, the book isn't about money. The book is about, it's about people, and it's about faith, and it's about trust, and it's about learning about yourself. And if people are hesitant to take the journey by themselves, they can take it with me.
I mean, I couldn't end it on a more beautiful note, particularly in the challenges we're going through today. So thank you for what you've done. And thank you for putting this great piece of positive energy out into the world. Thank you for that. So
thank you. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We are talking to Barb Geiger, author of Paddle for a Purpose. This is Shanalee Sharbenau. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Shanalee Sharbenau. Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Allen Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ramcord